Hey YouTube, Mr. Estacado169 here, what's up? Here's a small video about a certain archetype that still needs some parts to be reprinted. It's called Time Lords. The Time Lord monsters were really cool because they have some pretty unique effects like this one here. These were among the 10 Time Lords, aside from the 11 Time Lords, only these two have been released into the TCG. These ones here, these 9 here, have not been released. I don't think these are even released in the OCG. And you know, there's a couple of videos of a lot of people have been talking about this archetype, hoping to get more support, because even though the effects may differ, but it would still be a cool archetype to run, because these cards are really, really good and very powerful. Cephalion's a really good monster. Pretty much, it's like you can special summon 1 level 8 or higher monster. You can special summon 1 level 8 or higher fairy type monster in your graveyard, but the effects are negated. So this would be really, really cool because you run like 2 or 3 of these virtually. You know, you can bring back like one of these Time Lords with, shall we say, you have to have 10 or more monsters though. That's the downside. And these go back to the deck, but still, this card's pretty cool because you can use one of these for 4,000 attack or something. But so these really need to get reprinted into the TCG because these will make a really good archetype. I'm gonna explain each of these ones effects individually one by one. The effect of Hainan, the Time Lord. This card cannot be destroyed by battle or by card effects. You take no battle damage from battles involved in the face-up attack position card. If this card battles while you and your opponent have different amounts of life points, inflict damage to your opponent equal to the difference after damage calculation. You can't special summon monsters, and this card returns to the deck at the end phase. Canon, the Time Lord. This card cannot be special summoned from the deck. No monsters. If you control no monsters, you can almost summon this card without tribute. This card cannot be destroyed by battle by card effects. So the standard effect for the other Time Lords. So both players take no battle damage. Here's its additional effect. At the end of the battle phase in which this card battled, you can select one face-up monster your opponent controls, return that selected monster to the owner's deck to inflict 500 life points of damage to your opponent. In the anime version, this sent all monsters from your opponent's field back to the deck, and they lost 500 for each one, so this effect got trimmed down a little bit, but still pretty powerful nonetheless. Michion, the Time Lord. He has the same effect. It can't be destroyed by battle or by card effects. You take no battle damage involved in battles with the face-up card. And you can't special summon it from the deck. And you control no monsters. You can summon it without tribute. Here's the effect. At the end of the battle phase, when this card after which this card battles, you can cut your opponent's life points in half. And during the standby phase, it goes back to the deck. Last but not least, this guy. Tapsion, the Time Lord. This card cannot be destroyed by card effects. And basically, so it has the same effects as the other 3. It can't be destroyed by battle or by card effects. If you control no monsters, you summon without tribute. You take no battle damage involved in battles with this card. Your opponents don't take any damage. And it can't be just summoned from the deck. Its additional effect is, when this card is removed from the field, virtually if this is returned to the deck by its own effect or removed in any other method, its first effect is it can return all spell and trap cards your opponent controls to the deck when in battles, but its secondary effect's pretty cool. When this is removed from the field, you can draw until you have 5 cards in your hand. So, still pretty good draw power nonetheless. Ratsion, the Time Lord. This is a pretty decent guy. It has the same effect as the others. Can't be destroyed by battle by card effects. You and your opponent take no battle damage involved in this face-up card when it battles. This monster can't be special summoned from the deck. If this card battles, your opponent all monsters your opponent controls and all cards in your opponent's graveyard can go back to the deck. And it can inflict 1,000 points of damage to your opponent when they draw a card during the draw phase. So it's pretty cool. Basically, it's like a fiber jar effect for your opponent's field and grave. And it inflicts 1,000 points of damage when it's on the field, but it goes back to the deck on the standby, but it's pretty cool. Now, last but not least, Zadion the Time Lord. So basically, same effect, can't be destroyed by battle or by card effects. You take no battle damage from battles involved in the face-up attack position card. If this card battles while your opponent's life points are lowered than 4,000, your life points become 4,000 after damage calculation. So virtually, it's a pretty good card to boost your life points up when they're lower than 4,000, and it returns to the deck in the end phase. So it's pretty cool. Basically, it's really good. Now, last but not, this is another one. Raphaon the Time Lord. This card can't be destroyed by battle by card effects. You and your opponent take no battle damage involved in the face-up attack position card. And if this card battles after damage calculation, it returns the monster it battles to the owner's hand and inflicts damage to your opponent equal to that monster's attack. So virtually, you would battle, like, for example, like a Star Eater or, you know, something powerful. You attack with it unless your opponent has like a Threatening Roar or something like that, or swords on the field. When it does, that can go right back to their extra deck, and it can take like 3,200 if Star Eater was returned, and even if you attack into an obelisk, it's a 4,000 point hit, life point hit. So it's pretty cool. It's really, really cool. These effects might get trimmed if they're ever reprinted into the CCG or even released. I don't know if that will happen. I don't think these will be released in Dragons of Legend. I don't think it will. Hopefully, they might make another Legendary collection that involves these and the 5 dragons, Black Rose Stars, stuff like that. It'd be really awesome. Now, Raphaon. This card virtually can't be destroyed by battle or by card effects. Your opponent take no battle damage involved in this face-up attack position card. If this card battles, all cards your opponent controls returns to their decks after damage calculation. So virtually, this is like a giant Trunade and fiber jar for cards. It virtually wipes your opponent's field clean, pretty much. So that would if they had no cards in their hand when this happened, they'd be in a really tight situation unless they have like Threatening Roar, Necro Guard, and a Swift Scarecrow in their hand to negate the attack. So it's really, really bad. It's really dangerous. This effect might get trimmed though, but you never know. It's pretty dangerous. Last but not least, Sandion, the Time Lord. This card can't be special summoned from the deck, pretty much. It can't be destroyed by card effects. If you control no monsters, you can special summon this without tribute. And you and your opponent take no battle damage involved in this face-up attack position card. At the end of the battle phase in which this card battled, your opponent would automatically lose 2,000 life points, and this card returns to the deck at the end phase. So pretty much, if it attacks, every time it does, it's a 2,000 life point hit to your opponent. So, and another thing, and it's the free continuous trap cards. You summon them from the hand. I don't have those, but you know, I know what they do. The third one's pretty nasty, because the third one will prevent the Time Lords from returning to the deck at the end phase. So virtually, if you have, like, for example, like, I'm going to show you the best field to have for Time Lords. If you had virtually these ones out when you had the third continuous trap card, you pretty much win, because this would inflict damage to your opponent equal to the difference of you and your opponent's life points. This returns all spell and trap all cards from your opponent's field back to the deck every time it battles. This inflicts 2,000 points of damage every time it battles your opponent. And this returns a monster from their field to their hand, and then they lose life points equal to that monster's attack. And this cuts your opponent's life points in half every time it battles. So if you had that continuous trap card on the field and these 5 are out, it's pretty much a big win condition, because you got nowhere to run. These 2 inflict life point damage either by the difference or cut them your opponent's life points in half. This returns all cards on their field back to their decks when it battles. This inflicts life point damage equal to the monster's attack that they return of the monster that returns to the hand when this monster battles it, and this inflicts 2,000 points of damage each time. So all in all, this is a pretty big win condition virtually, unless they have something very powerful to return all the trap cards to the deck and stuff like that. Pretty much a big win condition. So yeah, that's why pretty much Time Lords need to get reprinted. Like, you know, these cards would be really good because it'll be a brand new archetype. It'll bring a lot of good competition into this format right now, especially with the pendulum summon thing that's in the OCG. That's going to probably come to the TCG sometime in this September or something. So virtually, you know, I would love to see these come out into the TCG in real print. I do not think it's going to come in Dragons of Legend, like I said before. I don't think it will. Hopefully it might, but it's most likely not going to. Let's just hope the next Legendary collection they make would be about the Yu-Gi-Oh! 5D series, and maybe these will be in here. The effects might get trimmed, like some of the effects might be altered for it to be used appropriately in the TCG, not in the OCG, because these effects would be so powerful, all of these would get banned on the next ban list straight away. So they would have to trim their effects down to the point where you can play these, and they wouldn't really get banned. They most likely might get limited to 2, limited to 1 in the next ban list, but however, it'd still be a good archetype to run. And it might trim the effects of the trap card, those 3 trap cards you used to summon these. So, but still, it's a good archetype nonetheless that I like to see get reprinted, and a lot of other people want to see these remaining Time Lords get reprinted along with those 3 traps, because we already got these 2 in the TCG. Now we need these guys. So tell me what's your opinion on this, or what kind of combos you could pull with these if they were in the TCG. Let me know in the comments down below. I'll have more videos up pretty soon, so I hope you enjoyed this video. Later, guys.